Good evening. Welcome to the Alive 8 p.m. live stream. Kind of excited tonight. And as I talk about the topic, please stay on the live stream. I promise it can be gentle or it can be whatever you need it to be. All right. So my shirt says, "Great minds plank alike." So I thought tonight that it kind of inspired me to talk about planks and why they are such an important part of a practice. And it reminded me, so we're going to do some planks, so please stay with me tonight. But it reminded me how when I'm in a class or I'm teaching a class, I sort of make a joke when I say to the class, when we're in plank, if you need to make a decision in your life, or if you need to, feeling a little anxiety, you're feeling ungrounded, just wherever you are, drop in a plank and you can ground yourself, focus, bring yourself back into the present moment and you breathe again. So I actually was thinking about that, and it truly is that type of pose that brings us so much that we don't even think about it because we're very anxious, and we're not anxious, we're worried when we're going to get out of it. So what I'd like to do tonight is just talk for a second, and I did write down some things about what plank and how it can bring grounding, calming, presence of mind, and then strength to you, okay? And then we're gonna do different ways that it can be a gentle pose or it can be a little intense, and everything in between. So believe it or not, and we're not doing it yet, but believe it or not, we're gonna start on our backs with this. So see, it's already good. So the first thing physically, this pose brings strength, right? It brings strength to our whole core. It can strengthen every muscle in the core for us. It can reduce back pain because you are lengthening your spine. You're taking the tailbone towards the heels and just lengthening that lower spine. So it relieves some pressure in those discs there. It strengthens your hands and your wrist, improves your posture, because we can take that from our mountain pose is the same kind of pose in plank. So what how we lengthen the spine, send the tailbone down, is how we really should be standing up when we're not actually in a plank pose. It increases our metabolism, and because we're using the muscular energy, that's how our metabolism increases. So it's just that simple. And then with it emotionally, this is a pose that can boost our mood. How about that? It is a pose that when we're increasing our metabolism, when we're bringing in that strength, we are tapping into those endorphins, and it releases those for us, and it adds a little boost of happiness. So it can boost our mood. But the main thing that I really wanted to communicate tonight about this pose is that it is grounding, it's calming, and it brings us spiritually, this is how the pose helps us spiritually, into the present moment and makes us tap into our breath. So we don't have any choice but to be centered and focused, and also breathing. So it's something that you can take with you off the mat. When you experience this pose on the mat, you can remember that strength. You can remember that focus. You can remember that your breath. And then whenever you remember, as you're off your mat, you might even come into that sort of feeling of the longer spine, the belly back, the tailbone down. It's the same thing as mountain. And then feel all of the muscular energy and bring yourself back to the body, to the breath, and the present moment. So that's my little speech tonight about planks, and let's enjoy the practice. You know, the other thing that it does is it stretches our stiff muscles if we've been sitting a lot. So we've got it all going on with this pose. Let's go ahead and lay down on our backs. I've got the blanket so that we can be gentle if we need to as well. Extend your legs all the way out in front of us, or in front of you. And then send your tailbone towards your heels of your feet. Feel a little bit of length in the lower spine. And take your shoulder blades lightly together and bring your hands at your sides. I'm going to have you take your second toes towards the ceiling. So flexing your feet and taking the second toe towards the ceiling. And then as you inhale, bring your arms up towards the ceiling and then bring the palms of the hands towards the ceiling. So your wrists are in line with the shoulders. Your shoulder blades are together. The belly is back towards the spine, the tailbone towards the heels. Your feet are flexed and you are in a plank. So this is plank on our back. So we can even feel the muscular energy right here, directing our focus, keeping our breath flowing in through the nose and out through the nose, even while you're holding all of this muscular energy in the arms, the legs, and then even towards the belly. So what's lovely about doing this on our backs, and I'm asking you to hold it for a little bit, is that you can feel all the different parts of this pose than the focus on the core, right? It strengthens our core, but we tend to focus there when there's a lot more going on. It's the arms and the legs and the feet, and then the focus between the hands. So we'll take one more breath here, and then slowly release the arms all the way down. Take the right knee into the chest, clasp the hands around the right knee, squeeze the right knee in, and then take the right knee towards the right armpit. Find a couple of breaths here. I'm just going to get into the hips a little bit. I always love to do that. Take your right knee just across the chest. You're not going to roll onto the outside, but you're just taking it across, keeping the back flat on the mat. It's kind of getting a little bit of stretch in our outer hip for a moment. Not a big one, or maybe it is. And then bring the right knee back in and extend the right leg all the way out. Flex and point the toes, the right toes, just the right toes first. Lovely. And then with that, always notice that there is a big difference when we move the body, so you can really feel that energy here. Bring the left knee in towards the chest. Flex the left foot. Breathe through the nose, out of the nose. And then take that left knee towards your left ankle. No, towards your left armpit. You know, those body parts just pop out of my mouth. Take one more breath here. And then take the left knee over towards the right armpit. Again, you're keeping the back flat on the mat. And you're just stretching the outer left hip slightly. Beautiful. And then bring that left knee in. Beautiful. And then extend your left leg all the way out. Remember that feeling, sending the tailbone towards the heels. Let's do that again. Flex the feet. Remember our feet are hips distance apart. Second toes towards the ceiling. Shoulder blades lightly together. And then inhale the arms up so wrists are over the shoulders. Palms of the hands towards the ceiling. Spread through your fingers. Maybe something we didn't do last time. Look between the hands towards the ceiling. And then find that energy, that muscular strength in the arms, the belly back towards the spine. And just notice here with the shoulder blades together, then your chest is between the upper arms, which is a little bit of a upper back bend. So there's all kinds of things happening in this pose. So let's enjoy this practice. And then exhale, release the hands. Inhale, bring the knees in towards the chest. And exhale, rock yourself all the way up. And we'll come to all fours. Spreading through the fingers, knees underneath the hips, and send your toes directly behind you. Take the belly towards the spine. Send the tailbone towards the wall behind you. Middle finger towards the front of the mat. And then spread through the fingers. And then just notice here, your elbows have the crease of the inner elbow facing each other. And then let your shoulder blades come together, belly to spine. So here we're beginning the top part of that plank pose, staying in tabletop maybe. So this is, again, the torso and the legs, how they need to be aligned in this practice. All right, we're going to take our hands and just walk them maybe one hand's length forward. Okay, so you want to have a good forward movement there, not just an inch or so. And then now take your shoulders over your wrists. Curl your toes here. Let the shoulder blades come together. Let the belly move towards the spine, tailbone towards the backs of the knees. So this is what I used for a long time to build my core strength, and instead of lifting the knees all the way up until I could build my core strength, this is my plank for a long time. So this one, you can feel the core activated, you can feel the strength in the arms, you can feel the legs by curling the toes, so this is a lovely pose too. So let's come back to all fours, walk the hands back, underneath the wrist, underneath the shoulders. We're going to take our right toes and take them out to the right. And then you're going to take your torso and roll open so that you're balanced on your right hand, left hand to the hip, and left leg behind you. And now your shoulder blades are together, tailbone towards the left heel, and then pressing down into the left arm, bring the right arm, bring the left arm up. So here we are in a modified side plank, which we'll be practicing tonight as well. Keep the belly strong. Remember that this is a gentle variation that you can even bring a blanket under the knee if that feels better. And then inhale, lift the left leg. Another variation of a side plank that we could do as well. So we'll flex the left foot, we'll breathe, beautiful, and then release and come back to center. Beautiful. Sit back on the heels, keep the elbows off the mat, coming into a version of our child's pose. Drop the head, stretch through your shoulders, and then come back to center. And we'll take care of our wrists, so don't worry about that. Take your left toes out to the side. Again, left toes out to the side. You're going to roll onto that left hand to the right hip, and right leg behind you. And then just engage flexing your right foot. So you can stay here, tailbone towards the heel, right arm comes up. Engaging all that muscular energy. Recognize your breath, recognize the focus that it takes. And then inhale, either keep the right leg down or lift the right leg in line with the hip. Remember to send the tailbone towards the heel, keep the core engaged, and keep breathing. Maybe a little smile. Nice. And then release. Coming all the way back to tabletop, and then sit back on the heels, elbows off the mat, forehead to the mat. Nice. And then slowly come on up. Curl the toes. Walk the hands about an inch forward of the shoulders, and then press into the hands. Lift the feet, lift the hips, come to downward facing dog. I'm going to fix my shirt. This one's not as tight. All right. Keep those feet hips distance apart, second toes towards the front of the mat. And then inhale, come up onto your toes. Take the sit bones a little bit higher towards the ceiling. And then keep that length in the spine and in the arms. And then bring your heels down. Feel a stretch in the calves. Lift your toes, even if the heels aren't all the ways down. So not your heels, lift your toes. Beautiful. And then breathe. Release the toes. Bring the heels down even more. And then look forward and walk your feet all the way up between the hands. And fold. Pressing down into the feet, take the arms wide and up. And then bring your hands over your heart. Oh, yes. Okay. Here we go. Inhale, arms up. Exhale and fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Inhale, let's take the right foot back, drop the right knee. Send the right toes back, arms up, tailbone down, belly strong, thumbs back. Drop the hips. Beautiful. And then release. And here we go, our first plank. Lift your right knee, step your left foot back, and then bring your hands parallel to each other. Spread through the fingers, just like we did when we were laying flat on the mat. Tailbone towards the heels, belly to spine, and then shoulder blades together. Beautiful. Remember the option of dropping the knees down, but keeping your core engaged. We'll take 2 more breaths. Notice concentration, focus, grounding. Keep the waist lifted. Beautiful. And then rock forward all the way down. Elbows in at your sides. Don't bring them out to the side. Press into the hands, send the toes back, and then inhale, lift the chest. As you exhale, send the heart forward. Just imagine you're dragging your hands back towards your hips. And then the heart comes forward. Lift the chin. Beautiful. Bring the head back and then curl the toes. Lift the hips, downward facing dog. Remember that sigh. It's that opportunity to use your voice or practice using your voice. Nice. We'll take 1 more deep breath here. And then look forward, step your right foot between your hands, drop your left knee, and then inhale the arms up. Send the tailbone down, belly strong, and then send the thumbs back. Nice. And then release and step your left foot forward and fold. Pressing down into the feet, take the arms wide and up, and exhale the hands over the heart. All right, we've still got a couple more planks to do, different ones. We're going to still do that same one, and then we'll do some side planks. Okay, let's inhale, bring those arms all the way up. Thanks, guys, for sticking with me. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Inhale, just step the right foot back, drop the right knee. Arms up, giving you a nice little hip action as we move through this pose. Through these poses. Send the thumbs back and release. Curl the right toes, step your left foot back, coming to that upward push-up plank position. Feet are hips distance apart, tailbone towards the heels. Isn't this great? It's one of my favorites. This was never one of my favorites, but it is now. Rock forward all the way down. Send the toes back. Inhale, lift the chest. Beautiful, guys. Exhale and downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Remember that length on each side of the body. Beautiful. Keep breathing. You might even pedal the knees or rock the hips side to side. Working it out. And then look forward and step your left foot between the hands. Drop your right knee, send the right toes back, arms up. Anjaneyasana. Beautiful. And then release the hands. Step your right foot forward and fold. Pressing down into the feet, take your arms wide and then bring the hands over the heart. Okay. All right, so now we're going to come into a couple variations of side plank. We've done one, we're going to do a couple more. So let's inhale, bring the arms up. As you exhale, fold forward, finding that familiar R structure. Inhale, coming up halfway. Exhale and fold. Inhale, step the feet back and let's come directly to downward facing dog. Beautiful. So in this pose, we're going to come forward just a slight bit, so maybe not quite halfway, but a fourth of the way. And you're going to take your right foot and bring it to the long edge side of your right side of your mat and in the middle of the mat, and turn the toes out to the right. And then you're going to roll on the outside of your left foot and take the right arm up. The reason we only come a fourth of the way is because our hips are already lifted. So if you drop the hips, lift the hips, shoulder blades together, find your breath, building strength. Beautiful. And then release your right hand, come back on your left toes and step your right foot back. Big breath, sigh it out. Nice. And we'll do the other side. You're going to come forward again, just about a fourth of the way. Step your left foot to the middle of the mat. Turn your toes out to the left. Roll onto the outside of the right foot. Left arm up. Keep those hips lifted, shoulder blades together. Tailbone towards the left, right heel. And breathe. Nice. And then release your left hand. Come on your right toes. Step back. Downward facing dog. Nice. And then look forward and bring your hands or your feet all the way between your hands and fold. All right. So remember earlier I said we'd do some taking care of our wrists. Let's do that now. I want you to bend your knees kind of generously here. And then you're going to take your right hand all the way underneath your foot. Make sure that your toes are touching the wrist. So you don't want your toes just on the fingers. You want them on the palms as well. Same thing on the left side. So toes all the way to the wrist. And then as you inhale, keep the arms straight and just bring your toes up towards the shins. So using the hands. And then you can straighten the legs, elbows out to the side and fold if you'd like, or just stay with the knees bent. Beautiful. That should turn the wrists in a different way, but the pressure is really nice. And then slowly release your hands. Press down into the feet and take the arms wide. And then come all the way with the hands in front of the heart. All right. Okay. Ready to move forward? Wrists feel a little better. If not, roll them in a circle. You can even take them into prayer and then roll the hands all the way around to the backs of the hands, the palms. That also is very helpful. Okay, here we go. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, folding. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Inhale, step the feet back, downward facing dog. All right, guys, so we're going to do the full side plank here. Remember the two options. One is to have the knee down, right toes out, and then come up. Remember that option. Or with the right foot in the middle, rolling on the left. Okay, so whatever side. All right, we're going to start with our right. So remember, you're going to come fourth of the way, and then you're going to roll on the outside of your right foot, stack your left foot, And then bring your left arm up, keeping the hips lifted. Beautiful. Shoulder blades together. Flex the feet. Option here, like we did before, of lifting the left leg. Breathe. Beautiful. Release. Bring your left hand down. Downward facing dog. If you're holding your breath through these poses, I would suggest taking a breath. It helps. Okay, one more side. Come forward a fourth of the way. Roll onto your left foot. Stack the left, right on top of the left. Right arm up. Beautiful. Lift those hips. Engage the right leg. Lift the right leg. Option. Oh, that was harder. And release. Release the right hand. Downward dog. And then release the knees to the mat. Big toes together. Separate the knees and sit back. Child's pose. Relax the elbows. Bring your awareness to your forehead. And then take this time here to just find a steady inhale and exhale. Send the elbows forward. You might bend the elbows and bring the hands into prayer over the head. And let the chest just drop down. The beauty of plank is that you can start even on your back as we did earlier, and you can finish at that part. This is a pose where we can just see how we can engage our muscular energy, finding our inner strength, finding ourselves in the present moment where we can really focus on what's in front of us. Seeing things for how they really are, as our mind maybe swirls with many different ideas or thoughts, dropping down into a plank or laying on our back, feeling that strength can help bring those decisions and answers a little more clear. You can release your hands now. Slowly come on up, and we'll come to a seated position. You're going to bring your legs out in front of you. And you're going to bring your soles of the feet together. Just clasping the soles of the feet. Bringing the heels of the feet towards the pelvis. Find your roots, your sit bones rooted down. Lifting the chest, shoulder blades together. So you can stay here. If you feel like your knees are really high, you can always bring your hands behind you, push the pelvis forward and drop the knees. Take your shoulder blades together and stay here, finding that stretch inside the thighs. So either way, we'll get that stretch. If you have the toes clasped, then inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, fold with the chest. If your hands are behind you, stay there and breathe. You might take your elbows towards the shins. If you're folding, pressing the knees down, extending the heart forward. And breathing here as well. Maybe closing the eyes, cooling the breath. Nice. And then we'll slowly come on up. Take the hands under the knees. And then walk your feet out so that they are hips distance apart, the knees are bent, and the feet are flat. And then take your hands behind you about 6 inches, and you'll have your fingertips facing towards the front of the mat, pressing down into the arm, shoulder blades together. This might be a little rough on the shoulders. You can always turn the fingers out to the sides of the mat if that feels better. So try it either way. We're going to press down into our hands, press down into our feet, lift the hips. This is reverse tabletop, but it's also a nice variation of reverse plank. Beautiful. Send the tailbone towards the backs of the knees and drop the head between the shoulders. Nice. And then come all the way down. Extend the legs or stay with the knees bent. Your feet are hips distance apart again. Walk those hands back, press down into your hands, lift the chest, shoulder blades together, and then lift the hips, drop the feet. Reverse plank. Beautiful. And then come all the way down, and then all the way down, and bring the knees in towards the chest. Take your wrist and bring them into circles. And then bring them in the other direction. Nice. And then bring them to your shins. Hug those knees in. And extend the legs all the way out in front. Palms to the ceiling. Shoulder blades together. Let your body completely surrender to the mat. Remember that our practice, each of our practices is our own. Be grateful for whatever part of this practice you were able to accomplish this evening, knowing that all of those benefits that I talked about earlier can be received through any one of those variations or through the full pose. And then if you can, I'd like you to stay in Shavasana for a little while longer. But if not, let's bring our legs together, point the toes, arms overhead, reach back. And then roll to your right side, cradle your head into your hands. And then press that left hand into the mat. We'll come back to a seated position. And then taking your hands over your heart. Remember that a yoga practice can be a lot of fun. But this pose here brings us so many benefits of present moment, remembering our breath, and finding our strength. So I invite you, as you take your practice now off of the mat and into your activities, to find your plank throughout the day. Thanks for being here tonight. Namaste. And I'll see you tomorrow night after I see you in the morning. Take care.